everybody. Welcome. I'm here today with Beth, a clinician here at Mayfield Counseling Centers. And today we're going to be talking about grief.
And this is your Monday Minute.
Grief is such a huge topic, but I would love to start with just understanding what is grief. Beth, would you be able to give us a good understanding or definition of that topic?
So, grief is where we have loss. We can have loss of income, we can have loss of jobs, and then also loss of important people in our lives, whether that be family members or friends or just close relatives or close members of the society that you've come to know through employers or your work.
So many of us experience different levels of grief, but how do you think the average person goes through the process of grief?
When we're grieving, we all experience it very differently. There's a quote that I don't know exactly, but it summarizes grief is as individual as our fingerprints. And with that, that means our grief is very different. There's similarities between all of us, but overall and overwhelming, our grief is personal. And so grief can be very calm and it can be basically under the surface where others aren't aware of it. And that's where you're pushing through your daily activities and your daily skills and things that you need to accomplish. But then there's days that it's like a huge tidal wave and it takes you under. And then with that grief, it's all consuming. You can't see the water edge, you can't see the sunlight, and it feels like you are drowning. But with grief, it always subsides in that overwhelming sense. And so then it'll ebb and flow throughout sometimes the day, sometimes the hour. And sometimes with grief, we feel lost, but then we can also feel hope and encouragement as well.
Grief can, like you said, can be so individual that sometimes it can be hard to dictate how we should grieve or how we should go through the process of loss and hopefully improve so that we can continue functioning on a good level day to day.
Right. And sometimes with grief, if we have one or two people that we can really rely on, the people that will support us through those highs and those lows, the times where we're feeling pretty good, it's pretty easy to get through it. It's like, okay, I've got this. And then the next day, you won't feel like you've got this. You feel like everything is crashing in around you. And then there might be anger. There might be sadness. There might be even depression. And so just knowing where we are and then moving on with that with our main support people.
One of the best aids when we're going through loss and grief is to have people around you who are supporting, uplifting, and helping to carry you through this season.
Absolutely.
What are some really important key qualities that someone who is being supportive to someone who's grieving should have?
I don't necessarily think it's qualities, but it's just being there. And what that means to me is someone showing up or someone calling or even a simple text, hey, thinking about you today.
Yeah.
And also having the support people, and they can come from far and wide. It's surprising, actually, who does show up to support you. And also when you're thinking about what you need for support, sometimes you don't even know what you need.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're asked, what do you need? What can I do for you? The answer is going to be, I don't know. I just don't know. So when you have someone saying, I don't know, that's when you just show up. And that is with either providing a meal or just thinking about what is happening in their lives.
If you are the person who is grieving, or perhaps you're the person who is supporting the grieving person, what do you think is some of the most important things for us to do?
As a griever, to be okay in how you're feeling. Pushing away those thoughts and emotions, it's not going to help in the long run. So being okay with being sad, being okay with missing the person, the animal, the job, or whatever it may be,
Mm.
but being okay with those feelings. As a support person, you don't have to have the right words to say,
Yes.
and that is
Mm.
really important. Just coming alongside, showing up, and just listening. You don't
So
need to say anything, you
yeah.
just need to be there.
So, so important. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that with us. I think so often grief is a super common experience, but we don't always handle it well. Whether you're the person who's grieving, who doesn't feel comfortable, like you said, with your emotions, feeling sad, feeling upset, or if you're the person who is trying to support someone who's grieving, a lot of times we try to fix the problem, try
Right.
to make it all better. Um, and in the end, we're not really helping the person who's experiencing loss. So I think it's one of the most important things that we can do if you're surrounded by anyone who's experiencing loss or grief, to just be a listening ear, to be open, to be able to just be present and not have to fix the loss or make everything feel better, but just be there for the person who's grieving. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your week and that you have a nice, relaxing weekend. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Monday, for our next Monday Minute.